So as I was driving in this morning, I was thinking like, what is digital change agent? And I know I was picturizing Sri, like, what does digital change agent look like? But the question is, like, we think about ourselves, like, if you look at ourselves as consumers, and in all our experiences, like, we will live in a world where as consumers, our world is very connected. Like the devices talking to each other, or apps talking to each other, Facebook talking to Amazon, but that's not the best example. But when we walk into our work, like we work with various set of applications, and anything that we need to, it's a very disconnected world. Anything that we need to get done, it requires you to jump from one application to another to get some information. Sometimes it's not accessible as you need it. And the disconnect is, as we see it, this is solved by a particular role in most companies, and that's by like leaders of business systems. And that role has been responsible for connecting, being the glue that connects these apps and gives us the consumer-like experience to all employees within an organization, and makes us more productive, happy, and successful in delivering the consumer experience that our customers expect. And as we work out like how this group came into existence, this event came into existence, as we started talking to business system leaders like you sitting in this room, it seemed that although this role existed, there was no community for you to come together and talk about what you have learned, what you have done, and the challenges that you face in your companies are very much the same, like whether it be financial ops, HR ops, or like the marketing side of things, marketing ops. So we built a community like maybe back in September or so, that it started with about 10 people. So it was a founding team of 10 members. And it has grown to about 60. And that's in Bay Area, but we have also expanded the chapter to New York. So this series was to bring in, give a more public forum to the business system leaders. And today we are starting with Sri Devi Pasumurthy, I pronounced it right, from Arlo. And she's going to show, just to give you more context, like when she started with Netgear, Arlo was still a part of Netgear. So today she will be talking to us about how she took the business systems separation from Netgear to Arlo, and how she envisions the business systems to scale and grow in Arlo. The two companies are very different. Netgear operates for profitability. Arlo is built for growth for now. So she will talk to us, share her journey about going from Netgear to Arlo. So having said that, Sri, welcome. And maybe you have to sit here. So, and some of you maybe like you found out about this community or this event via email or I don't know, LinkedIn post or whatnot. But if you're interested, like we had an event yesterday that was hosted at Google campuses, and it was a fascinating topic. They talked about using blockchain for solving various FinOps processes. So do join the community. We'll share this URL with you, so you can request an invite and join that. And the next event is coming up in May. So let's see. Okay. Well, this is comfy. So Sri, as we start, let's start with just telling us about like what you do at Arlo and what your role at Arlo is all about.
Hello everybody, thank you for having me, appreciate the opportunity. My name is Sridevi and I head the business applications team at Arlo. Is this better? Is this better? Oh. I thought I didn't need a speaker, but no. What do I do? Okay. All right. So my name is Sridevi. I head the enterprise business applications at Arlo. I am responsible for the financial systems, the CRM systems, the web development, integration services, subscription services, e-com, as well as corporate analytics. That's my portfolio. That's what I do.
That's a lot of things. And can you tell us more about Arlo? I know it's a very exciting and cool company. Like in the past, like if you had to do your home surveillance, you'd have to call a guy. It takes months to set up an appointment, set things up, get things going. But Arlo has completely transformed that and make it easier to get started. That's as much as I know, but if you could tell us more about Arlo.
So Arlo is the leading home security camera, that's given. Like we have 45% market share and we compete with the biggest juggernauts like Amazon and Nest, but we still have a huge market share. That talks about what the product is, the ease of use. We make your home secure and we make your home connected. So we are a secure and a connected home. So we think of ourselves as, it's a lifestyle, it's a connected lifestyle. Do I just use? So just a few things about Arlo. This is just a Q4 numbers. So we are a 4-year-old startup, if you call ourselves. So it's quite a journey for a company to grow to 4 years, especially in a consumer sector. To be a $350 million company in a span of 4 years is phenomenal. It talks about the product and its quality. So, yep, we envision ourselves to be an end-to-end connected lifestyle platform, and there's a huge roadmap that we think, a product roadmap that will help us get to this vision. So Arlo is great. I hope all of you have Arlo.
Okay.
Just go to.
I recently bought Arlo, and the entire reason was, the wireless side of things. If you had Nest and others, I started to think as to how to connect those things, and I was like, oh man, this is very complicated.
Just go to Costco, just go to Amazon, one click buy Arlo, and then there you are. Yes.
And Sri, like about your role, right? This is not the first time you have been in this role. So can you give us, like all of us, overview, like how did you come to this role, and what have you done in the past that set you up for this role?
So I started my career as a developer. That's like a while ago. I'm not going to say so that give my age out, but yes. So I've been doing business applications related work for a long time. I've been fortunate to have experienced working in different sectors of business applications. In few companies, I worked in, helping with financials, and some it was supply chain. And I've had an opportunity to work with companies that were hardware focused, software focused, hardware and software focused. Had an opportunity to work in companies that were different verticals, right? Like consumer versus B2B. So multiple places that I've been very fortunate that I've got exposure to do different things at different places. But the thread remained always the same, helping with business applications and helping solve the company's problem through applications and systems. So that's what I've been doing.
And like as I was talking, like with the business systems role, it's a very critical one in companies. Like you and your team happens to be the glue, right?
Correct.
And how is your team valued? Like how does the business see what value you bring to the table?
So business systems are almost like a DNA of the company, right? You're so glued into everything, be it financials, be it marketing, be it customer support. So the way we bring value is first and foremost, we make sure that the lights are on, right? That's just given. There's absolute business continuity. The other way you do is you have insights into teams that nobody else has. Because we work across teams, we get a lot of insights. So we have an opportunity to be that influencer. We have an opportunity to do that, actionable insights, present insights. And then you also have an opportunity to be innovative. You bring innovation to the table, whether it's for your internal employees or whether it's a way you can help with your customers. You get a chance to be that, innovation. And sometimes we bring innovation to the table, and sometimes we're part of the innovation along with the other business leaders in the team. So that's the value we bring in.
Okay, and coming back to the topic for today, the big part is like when you started at Netgear,
Mm-hmm.
The company was very different than how it is now with Arlo.
Right.
So if you travel back in time, like when you started at Netgear back in October
Yep.
16,
Yeah.
so what the world looked like, and then how did it become Arlo? If you can walk through that journey, that would be great.
So it's very fascinating. When I took the job at Arlo, at Netgear, I was hired at Netgear. I didn't know that I was hired to lead this separation project. The first day I joined, I was told that Netgear and Arlo are going to be separated, and we have a board approval on it. For people who have not gone through a divestiture, it's like a amicable divorce. Like two people are divorcing, but we all agree on terms and conditions. There's no fight here. We agree on what we do, when we do, how we do it, and we just sign an agreement. So divestiture is very similar to a mutual divorce. So did not realize what it meant. It seemed like, it seemed like a fun project and all. But the way it started is we had very few people in the company that knew about this. My CIO, I report into my CIO, the CFO, the CLO, and the CEO, and few others. So it took us a couple of months to align what exactly this divestiture means. Because divestiture was not just about systems, it was also divestiture of people. We were going to split the company into two, which means not just the systems, people were going to be in two different companies. To be very thoughtful about how this process is, what do you go, how, there should be a method to the madness is what I call. How do we go about it? So one thing was sure, that we wanted to make sure that we are live by 1st October. We started this project 1st October 2017 internally with few people, but the end result was very clear. The first time we met, we knew we were going to go live. Just because of the financial reasons, we had to have 1 quarter on the new systems just to make sure we get the tax benefit and all. So the end date was given. We didn't know how we're going to get to the end date, but we're like, yeah, we're going to do it, and that's what we did. So every time, I was just talking to Indu right now in the conversation when I said we went through a separation. His first question was, did you guys change the system? Like, no, we didn't. We had to align to a certain set of guiding principles before we tried to move one company systems to the other. What was the guiding principle, right? If you're in a startup, you build everything from scratch, and there is a ramp that happens. Like 1 quarter you do this, next quarter you see increased revenue, increased customers. But Arlo, it was a divestiture. We are a $350 million company with 2.2 million subscribers who rely on your app for security, right? When you come home, you watch on your mobile your kids, you could see your pets. Like, this is a lifestyle product. So first thing was, whatever we do, when we go live, we will not impact the business or the customers. That's just the baseline, that's it. We're not going to make sure that we cause any disruption to Arlo when we go live. The second was we go live by Q4 2018. And we had to clearly spell out saying that this is not a business process re-engineering. I mean, if business application teams are there, every time you do a new process, you always want to re-engineer stuff. Like, why can't we do this? The moment we announced, like, can we go to Google instead of Microsoft? Can we change our ERP system? Can we take out a CRM system? Like, no, we can't. The thing is, you have to have a crystal clear focus on why you're trying to do it, how you're going to try to do it, and the time frame that you have, and the risk you bring by changing big enterprise systems. The other one was, Arlo was part of Netgear, so there was a huge investments already made in making sure systems and processes and automations work in Netgear. So we wanted to leverage what was already in Netgear. Our suppliers were the same, our ODMs were the same, our B2B partners were the same. So there was no reason why you want to take something that's working and then reinvent the whole wheel and cause friction and risk and all that. So these three principles were glued to everybody's desks. Any project, any business, I mean, it was just given. Anytime they come and ask for a new change of tool, like go back to the guiding principles. Anytime you try to bring in new functionalities, when you have 6 months to separate and go, you have to really prioritize why you're doing and what you're doing. So, so these guiding principles were the first thing that we did as a team to align on why we are doing, how we are going to do, and how we're going to get there. So these were just what it was.
So I like the analogy with the divorces.
Yes, it
but,
was.
You know, human divorces go through certain processes, but enterprise divorces, right? And just in terms of scale and magnitude, like when we're talking about business system, what did that look like?
So we have 158 systems across the enterprise. When I say 158, that includes from your smallest applications such as Smartsheets to enterprise applications like ERP, CRM, and across the board, right? We had Amazon xCloud, we had Amazon across the board, engineering services, IVR, phone systems. And we were going to adopt everything that Arlo was with Netgear, but we had a method to how we're going to bring that system in. Some systems we realized that we have to do a fresh install. Some systems we realized we need to clone and copy and bring it in. Some systems were truly, truly Netgear, and they were not required to bring into Arlo. And then there were systems that we needed just to support where Arlo was going. That was very small. I just wanted to emphasize, again, it's not a business process re-engineering. So we took an opportunity to create a footprint. It's called a blueprint. If anyone's familiar with it, it's called technology blueprint. So we went through all the purchase orders, all the invoices that come in, took a stack of every application that's ever there, classified it, whether it's on-prem, it's SaaS, why are we using it, do we need it, if we need it, how do we get the system in. So it was an exercise that went through from October, November. By December, we had a clear understanding of what was going to be brought into Arlo, how it's going to be brought into Arlo, and the process for that. So that was,
Okay.
It seems small, but trust me, it's a lot of systems.
Yeah, I think looking back, everything looks simple. But as you go through this process, like in the 6 months, what were some of the key milestones? How did you measure that you're keeping course? And anytime there is a diversion, how you bring it back? So how is that managed?
Well, so these were the key milestones that we aligned to. We had, again, this is if you think about it, right, this is a divorce. Standard processes were already laid out saying that legal day one, which is officially when you book revenue for people here, we're actually booking it as 2 different companies. So that happened. The next one was system day one, when we say we are completely independent from system-wise. There's nothing that, Arlo doesn't talk to Netgear and Netgear doesn't talk to Arlo. And then there is a spin-off day, which means at that day, we're truly, that's it. We are done. No more questions. We just are on our own. Both companies now completely operate as independent entities. In this process, there's something called transitional service agreement. I'm not sure if people are familiar with it. What that is you write an agreement between both the companies saying that, hey, while we are going through this transition, we will be requiring your services. We were Arlo, but we were still stationed and working out of Netgear offices, which means we had to use their printers, we had to use their network, we had to use, even facilities like, so everything that was going to be part of the transitional agreement was documented. What do we need, how do we need, and what, and till when is the transitional agreement going to be applied to? Similarly, there were some services that Arlo was going to provide to Netgear. So there was a forward transitional agreement and there was a reverse transitional agreement. So these were some of the things that we had to align and understand before actually announcing. So it was a complex one, but it was, we survived.
Yeah, I would be curious as the folks in the audience, like at a high level, 158 applications looks like a lot. If we can go one level deeper, like what did that look like from an infrastructure standpoint, from a like the business application standpoint? What did that landscape look like?
So we had to really understand when you have 158 applications across the enterprise, right? You had to have a complete structure on how you bring these applications. So what we did was we classified applications into a broader level of what you call work streams. We had infrastructure as one of the work streams, cloud operations, integrations, engineering services. You know, all these were complete work streams. Every application fit into one of these work streams. And in the work streams, we also had tracks laid out saying that if you're Salesforce CRM, where do you fall in? If you are Zoom, where do you fall in? If you're Microsoft, where do you fall in? If you are Ping Identity, where do you fall in? The reason is we had to have clear communication. It's not just execution, right? There has to be clear communication on how the project was going, being able to identify risks. As you said, how do you manage risk, right? You need to have that building blocks laid out properly so that your communication, your risks, and the execution is completely planned on. So this was the structure we laid out. And another important thing was, though it was a separation of Arlo, it was very important to have Netgear participation as well. So every system that we had 2 leaders who were responsible for the system, one from Netgear, one from Arlo. So that's how the program structure was set up, so that there's communication, there's risk management, and then there is effective execution. So this was how the structure of the applications separation was laid out.
So, again, like this looks overly simplistic. Like everything that there must have been a lot of challenges, like when you're moving your customer data, right, without
Right.
any disruption
Right.
to the customer experience. Like when they
Correct.
call our Netgear, they have the same experience without knowing about the separation.
That's right.
So what were some of the challenges, like from a technology standpoint, from a process standpoint, people standpoint, that you faced that could have derailed the separation process?
So yeah, after this, I was sure I didn't want to get divorced. So that was given. It was such a, it was intense because we had timelines and we had different people working through different things, right? That Murphy's Law, which says whatever can go wrong, actually did go wrong in many aspects. For example, when we worked on separating Salesforce, what the agreement with Salesforce is, Salesforce will take a production instance of Netgear, and they'll give us a production clone of production and give us an instance for Arlo. Turns out, Salesforce never did this, but that was the strategy to go. If we didn't have that strategy to implement Salesforce CRM, Salesforce Service Cloud, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, all 3 applications in 6 months was just impossible. So we had technology challenges, we had vendor challenges, we had people challenges. We split the company into 2, which means we had to hire, backfill. So there were a lot of moving parts to this. Yeah, so again, as I said, everything that can go wrong. It seemed like a diving catch everywhere. You were just constantly catching and making sure it doesn't fall off. But there was enough structure, and there was enough risk management, and there was enough resourcing and all that put in place to make sure the risks were mitigated, and then there was enough communication across going on. We knew where the challenges were. We knew how to put focus on resources where it's required, de-scope when required. So that was, that's how it was managed.
And the Salesforce migration, was there a plan B if that didn't work out?
There was none. It had to work. So we went through sales. Again, it was something that was promised, and it was new for Salesforce too. They were doing it for them. So what we had to do is, you have to live with it. You have to understand what it means when you have systems cloning from one to the other, what happens, right? So it was a challenge. It increased our, what happened is we had to staff more. We had to staff more to make sure that we can hit the timeline. The triple constraint that all of us always fight, time, budget, resources, right? So we had to bring in people where required to make sure we meet the timelines. Again, with data, as you said, right? Imagine you get a Salesforce instance on July 1st. That was when we got a clone, right? And we are going live in October 1st. From June 1st to October 1st, you need to constantly keep feeding that system with the current production data. When you go live, your customer, Arlo customer, would have opened a customer support case on Netgear instance, but you'll actually be servicing from the Arlo instance. So you had to make sure that there is no loss of data, there is no disruption. So there had to be plans of incremental data load. You had to understand what the cutover planning needs to be for enterprise application, like big applications. So yeah, there was a lot of planning. The whole reason this was successful was it was extraordinary detailed level of planning that went into. When we announced when it was announced in board,